Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I really want to show you what the carb cheater gives you, as well as why I bought the carb cheater in the first place, and then what I expect to gain out of the carb cheater by having. Okay, so first question, why did I get the carb cheater in the first place? When I built this engine I really wanted to tune it in right, make it a good daily driver and fix, any of the potential carburetor problems that you would have. So to properly tune a carburetor, you need a couple tools. I have a manifold vacuum gauge, have a timing light, I can read spark plugs somewhat, and I have a tachometer, so I thought I could tune it in pretty well, except for one thing. I always wanted to get a wideband AFR gauge, but if you look at those, they're like $200. They're not cheap, and the carb cheater is like $383, I believe is the price on it. You can look at the website. They make different models of the carb cheater with different things in it, but the one I bought was $383, I believe. They named all the prices after different engine displacements, which I found was really funny. If you're looking at it, the carb cheater offers you a lot more than just an AFR gauge. It also reads your manifold vacuum through a map sensor. It can correct your AFR if it's running too rich, and gives you a live tachometer, and it can also data log. So it gives you so much more information than just an AFR gauge. I'm not going to tell you how to tune a carburetor. This video will be 2 hours long if I try to do that, and plus every carburetor is completely different, and carburetor vehicles can run completely different 2 different days in a row. They're very finicky sometimes, and it's hard to get right a lot. I learned that from experience. With the carb cheater's data logging and live AFR trimming, it sure makes it a lot easier. So let's take a look at what the carb cheater app looks like whenever you open it up on your computer or on your phone. First, you're going to get a flashy thing on the top that says connect module. You're going to want to hold that, and then it'll come up with your carb cheater. I can't connect to mine right now because I don't have the car on, but you get the idea. So it failed to connect, obviously. Over here is where you turn your auto tune on. This enables the air control valve to open or close based off a set AFR parameter. So as we can see, we have it set to 14.7 right now. So if it goes richer than 14.7, it'll start opening the air control valve a certain percentage, and it shows you how much is open on a screen here. It also has your RPM, manifold vacuum, and then your AFR. It would show that in real time if the car was on and connected. These are just different set points you have for it. This is whenever the setup and deep settings is you go in there. You tell it you have an 8-cylinder engine. You tell it what you want your rev limiter to be. You tell it what your idle RPM is. All kinds of things you set up to start with in there in the setup deep settings. This is just different tutorials and things. This is how you lean or rich the AFR adjustment here by clicking on that. Then you hold mode to go to the next thing. That's the date. This is the data log section. I may have to have the engine. I may have to have it connected for it to show me all the way. Hold on. I'm kind of far away from the actual car, so I don't know if it'll still connect. We'll find out. Hey, it worked. So I mean, that's a good 30 feet, I would say. So here is the telemetry page I like the most. You got your AFR in here, manifold vacuum, and your RPM. That's where you would hit that button to start data logging, and then this here in this right hand corner, it tells you what percentage of the way that your valve, your air control valve, is open to bleed off the air. Right now it's not open at all because it's closed, because it's not running the engine. But if the AFR were ever to go richer than 14.7, it would start to open. But by turning this button on, you can turn auto tune on or off, so it won't do anything right now, but you can turn it on. And it will save all your settings. You don't have to do this every time you fire up the app. But that's a brief go through, I think, of the carb cheater app. It's a very handy app. It's pretty explanatory. You do have to hold all the buttons. You don't push them once. He did that because that way you can't accidentally push the wrong button, which makes sense. And you get used to it pretty quick. See, like I said, as soon as your AFR gets richer than the set AFR you have, the air control valve will start to open. If it's at 100%, you're running entirely too rich, and you need to make an adjustment on your carburetor accordingly. If you make your adjustment and then it goes down to 50% of the way, then you went in the right direction. I typically try and have my carburetor set a little bit richer and let the carb cheater compensate for that. If your engine runs lean, that is supposedly worse than running rich, so I tend to have everything tuned on the rich side of things to accommodate for varying conditions in the weather and atmospheric pressure and air density, air quality. There's just a lot of different variables there. Plus, the carb cheater can fix a rich condition. It cannot fix a lean condition. That's the carb cheater app in a pretty simplified form. Carburetors are a very finicky thing, and it can take a long time to learn all of their intricacies and different little things. However, there are lots and lots of good YouTube videos out there on how to learn carburetors, how to learn to tune a carburetor, and especially one specifically for you, whether it's a Holley or an Edelbrock or whatever you happen to be working with. There's lots of YouTube videos out there. But I do think learning how a carburetor works, learning how to tune one is a worthwhile skill. There's fewer and fewer people who are willing to put forth the effort to learn how these things work. There's still plenty of old cars out there that need a little bit of TLC, a little bit of carburetor tune-up, and all it takes is just a little bit of knowledge and know how to fix them. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions at all, put them in the comment section below. Make sure you check out my part 1 of the carb cheater. That'll address a couple other little things I didn't talk about in this video. My hope is that we can continue to use carburetors on cars because nothing looks sexier than a Holley double pumper on top of an aluminum intake. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on It'll Run.